My name is Thomas Ahlquist, and today I am conducting a StudySync lesson on Act 3, Scenes 4 to 6 of Shakespeare's Macbeth. Next up, hardest quiz question. So you're flipping over your paper. You're going to look at all of the multiple choice quiz questions together with your group, and you're going to decide as a group, what is the most difficult of these quiz questions? Out of these 9, I think, multiple choice questions that you could be answering, what is the one that really stumps all of you? And I'm going to try and offer a little feedback once you write it down on the page. What's that? Oh, you're just showing me a question at the end? The vocab again? Yeah, that's all right. So it can't be that question. That can't be the hardest one. So you guys already moved on to this one.
Yeah.
Can I see
You have to do computer.
this question that you pulled from hardest quiz, which is the following sentence best explains?
Was it one?
I'm doing mine right now.
Was it one? I don't remember.
I don't think that A is the answer for this one. Can we look at the quiz again? Can you pull up the quiz question again for me? So, which of the following best explains what Banquo's ghost symbolizes? So, Banquo's ghost symbolizes his former friend. That's like a little too literal, right? If it's a symbol, it's going to be connected to theme or something that's like not tangible, probably. So, which of these three connects, or these three other options connects to something that we can't touch? B, C, or D? Which one? B is still tangible, right? Because that's saying it symbolizes his son. So that's something that can be touched, right? That's like physical. But one of these, I'll be right with you, Suabir, I see you. Which one of these seems like it might have something to do with something that you can't touch? C or D? Yes, so C, conscience and guilt, is something that can't be touched exactly, right? So Banquo's ghost is like the embodiment of that exactly. So C is the one you want to connect to. Anytime you see symbolize, a person usually doesn't stand in for another person. Did you guys settle on a quiz question? Number 7. What's the question? Did you write it down? Can I see it? All right. Which of these sentences? Oh, this is a toughie. Okay. All right. So you don't have to write the whole Macbeth quote. You can just write the sentence, the question itself up top, and then whichever of these answers that you guys think is right. So which one do you guys think is right?
We were probably guessing like C or A.
Okay. Yeah, so we don't see Lady Macbeth in the scene, so it's probably not C. I think that you're right not to think that it's D or B. I think A is the one you're looking for, that the dead will have their revenge.
He guessed on that.
Hey, even if you guessed, you got it right. So make sure that you write that one down and the answer. And then I just want you guys to look through the think questions too, and pick one of those out as well and try and answer it together before you guys finish up the rest of the assignment yourself. Okay? Jay, are you okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. I wouldn't have known. Which of the statements below best explains the irony of Macbeth telling his dinner guests that he wishes Banquo could join them? Ah, very good. And then your answer was A, right? Ironic because, well, this is because Macbeth and Banquo heard the same prophecy. I don't see how that's irony though, right? Because like it doesn't undermine. When it's irony, it's like the opposite of what you expect to happen is happening, or somebody says something that's maybe the opposite of what they really mean. So if he's saying, I wish Banquo could join us, them having heard the same prophecy isn't really relevant. So out of the rest of these three options, what could it be? Yeah, exactly. Macbeth knows Banquo is already dead, so he can't possibly join them. He's saying something that's totally impossible. Good. All right, last I want you guys to pick out one of the think questions, figure out which one that you want to answer together, and everybody has to throw a sentence in on that one on the page here. And then after that, you guys can finish up the rest of the assignment yourselves. Okay? You guys are finishing the think and the multiple choice questions now? All right. And do you have everything that you need on this page for now?
Yes. Mr. A.
Very good, yes.
A question.
Sure.
Why are we doing this?
What is Lady Macbeth's explanation for her husband's episode at dinner? Okay, so if you're not 100% sure, it's going to be in Act 3, Scene 4, which goes from 89 to 101. But you can also check out the translation of 3.4 on Google Translate, or not Google Translate, on Google Classroom. There's like a more modern English version of it that is a little easier to make sense of. So I would look to see how Lady Macbeth starts speaking after Macbeth starts losing his mind.
Tell us about your planning process.
Yes, so I try to think about how to put up speed bumps for my student when they are working, or for my students rather, when they are working with a technological assignment like a StudySync piece, because I find that sometimes students, when they get a computer-based assignment, are more likely to rush through something, especially if there are multiple choice questions. So what I think about is how can I get students talking about the questions and processing them and actually performing that level of metacognition before they start trying to attempt answering the questions themselves. Because that way I can see that they are actually engaging with the material as opposed to just trying to get through the assignment for the sake of getting through it. But emphasizing that metacognition piece, I think, is the primary thing that I'm thinking about when I am employing a lesson like the one that I do today. I really want students to have plenty of time to really absorb and steep in the questions themselves before they have to start answering them.
What instructional moves did you make to give all students access to the StudySync skill lesson?
Yeah, so over the summer, I took a seminar in QTEL strategies, which is quality teaching for English learners. And a lot of what we learned in that workshop was about trying to get students to collaborate with one another as much as possible and use each other as resources in the room as they are working through questions and course materials. So part of the crux of this is this like warm demand that you're asking of all students that they all need to contribute something to a page. So if you have all students working on a single piece of paper, you make sure that they all write their names on it so that you can also tell like whose handwriting is actually on this page, and they know that I am looking for that. I also sort of try to break up the assignment so that there is a component of this that fits under like guided practice, right? So that vocab piece of the assignment where students are coming up one by one from each table to try and put vocab words where they actually belong. That is something that students can also be doing with the student at the front of the room. So if you are back at your seat, you should be doing the same thing that the student at the front of the room is doing, and you have this opportunity to check your answers while somebody else is thinking through the question in real time. And I also try and include as much space in my lessons for me to circulate throughout the room. So that everybody gets some attention from me. So if I see a student who is having difficulty accessing the material, maybe just for a technological reason, or maybe just for a reason of true lack of understanding or something, they actually get a minute or two with me where I can kind of figure out where they're at and try and redirect them so that they can get back into the lesson.
Your class was extremely student-centered. How did you build the culture of collaboration? What steps did you take?
I started early this year with QTEL strategies. I had students working on posters together and answering questions together really as early as the first couple weeks of the school year. So they understand automatically that I'm going to expect them to talk to each other, probably every day, but at least every few days. And that has also led to a more kind of convivial atmosphere in the room. Kids are generally pretty comfortable with each other, even kids who are a little bit more shy feel comfortable talking to at least one or two people in the room. and I try and note who that is so that they feel supported and not completely pushed out of their comfort zone when they're in those kinds of social situations. And then also I'm collecting their phones every day and showing them that I'm putting my phone in the cage as well, so that they know that I really do take this seriously and that it is important that we are all present in the room together. And then, I'm just sort of trying to establish routines, right? So like I said, having them collaborate early on in the year, making it a regular part of something that we do absolutely every week. Getting them into groups that they are both used to and groups that they are maybe not so used to, so that if, say, they come into the classroom late and they see that the place where they usually sit is now taken up by somebody else, I have an easy enough time folding them into a different group who they can work with just as easily.
Implementation of StudySync is going really well for you. How would you guide a colleague new to StudySync?
So if a colleague was using StudySync for the first time, I would recommend that they definitely check those lesson plans that are listed on the website with most of the lessons that are included, because they do offer some of those speed bumps, those little places that emphasize metacognition and encourage students to think about the question before they start answering them. Also, you can create speed bumps of your own, like the one that I created with the vocab assignment today. So instead of just having them answer which definition goes with which word after they've completed that, I want them to think more carefully about some words. So I ask them to write a short story that they're making up in group with one another using those vocabulary words. And ideally, the story is also in some way related to whatever text we're looking at. In this case, it's Macbeth. I think that you should also be thoughtful and intuitive about what works for your class and what are your class's strengths and weaknesses. I would say, you want to note that when you assign a lesson in StudySync, for example, especially the multiple choice questions and the think questions, you have the opportunity to block out a couple, especially if they're ones that are asking things that you haven't really talked about with them, right? You don't want to set them up with a question that they're not going to be prepared to answer because it's not something you've discussed. Or you might want to focus on a certain set of questions that is specifically about skills that you are interested in developing with them. And you have the opportunity to make the choice about what you actually want them to see and what you think would be most beneficial for them, both in terms of increasing their access to the material, giving them the confidence that they can actually complete the lesson, and also actually assessing what they know and what they still need to work on.